to the show, everyone. You know, I love my show, and I say it almost every show, and I do, and the reason why is because it's different than anything else you hear out there on the radio generally, and it's all just information for you or someone that you know. We're live on Facebook, so I do want to say hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We'll share the show later on. My first guest is Michael Rojas, and he's the managing member of Reliant Group Holdings. Welcome to the show. I want you to tell everybody first a little bit about yourself and then what we're going to talk about today.
Well, thank you, Carol. I really want to say thank you for having me on the show. I know that your show is very much appreciated throughout the Valley. Well, a little bit about myself, Carol. I've been in the Valley for 27 years, 1979, so it's been a long time that I've been here, and I've been a financial advisor here in the Valley for the last 27 years. And as you had mentioned, I'm the managing general partner for Reliant Group Holdings, and we have several divisions within that company. We have Reliant Investment Management, Reliant Law Group, and Reliant Estate and Insurance Services.
Now, today you wanted to talk a little bit about some things that you might have heard before, but maybe not. Maybe you're somebody new and getting into some of these things, but we want to talk a little bit about the financial services that you offer, right?
Yes.
And I want to first talk a little bit about what the difference is between a 401k and an IRA.
Well, you know, that's a great question. What you've got, Carol, is there's two types of money. People don't realize that there's two types of money. And what I mean by that is on the tax qualification of things. You have qualified funds, which are your 401ks, your traditional IRAs, your SEPs, KEOs, all of those financial accounts that have never been taxed before or that are tax deferred. So that's considered qualified funds. So an IRA, a traditional IRA and a 401k, they're qualified funds. They're treated similarly in terms of IRS purposes, but the difference between a 401k really is that a 401k is an employer-sponsored plan. So those are the investment vehicles that our employers usually have provided to us to invest into so that we can have resources or assets when we retire.
It's really nice, but the thing is, it's true that a lot of places don't have them anymore, as many. Is that correct or no?
Actually, Carol, what's gone away really are pensions, right?
Okay, pensions
People
for sure.
don't have really the ability to have pensions any longer unless you work for, like, say, the government or or maybe you're an educator. Something to that extent, you will still have the ability to have a pension, but you're right, they are going away.
Yeah.
There's less and less people that are or that have access to the pension, and you know, I love pensions because pensions do provide you a source of guaranteed income when we retire. 401ks, they are an investment account, I should say, that the employers provide, but they do not give you a guaranteed source of income. It's just our assets that have been going into these accounts, and you may get an employer match, right? You may get an employer match to that those monies that are going in, but it's not a guaranteed source of income.
Well, I want to talk about the match part of it. How much should somebody, like for if it was me, put into one of these?
Okay, so what I believe is that if your employer is going to match up to a percentage, say 4%, and if you're not at least contributing what the employer is going to match for you, then you're leaving dollars on the table. You're shorting yourself of what you could actually be receiving when you go to retire. So in my opinion, that would be the minimum that you should put into a 401k. I would love to see people doing an average of, say, 10%. 10% should be going into your 401k. Yes, the employer's not going to match the other 6 that's going in there, but that's what you truly are going to need to try to get your, that particular 401k built up to the level that you'd like when you retire.
Well, a lot of people that are listening, I mean, I think it's wonderful that you're educating them on this because they don't have any idea of what they should do, or they think they do, and like I said, they might get themselves, later that might hurt them. When you work with people, do you work with, when do they start talking to you about their 401ks?
Well, quite honestly, Carol, the age demographic that we deal with at our firm at Reliant Investment Management, our age demographic is typically going to be that person who's nearing retirement or who may already be retired. So our age demographic is 55 to say maybe 75 years of age. So a lot of those people, if they're already retired, then they may have taken those 401ks and rolled those assets into a traditional IRA.
Mhm.
There's no tax consequence in doing that. That's why we have those traditional IRAs, is for those 401k accounts to roll over and there not be that consequence for you. So you ask me how, like, when should they start?
When should they start
Yeah, when
talking?
should they start? Well, I feel that someone should start, honestly, the earlier the better.
Right.
If you're 25 years young and are working at a place that offers a 401k, take advantage of that.
Do it
The
right.
sooner you do it, the better you'll be.
Now, I want to talk about this because what you might yourself be of the group that he's talking about. Maybe you're getting close to retiring, or you're already. But you also might have a son or daughter, grandson, and I always like to talk about this on my show. That's what networking is all about. Maybe you talk to them and have them start also working on making sure that they have enough money to retire on.
Oh, absolutely. As I said, the power of compounding interest is incredible, and so you really have to take advantage of the time aspect of things, right? So the sooner you start, the better you'll be. And as I mentioned before, our age demographic is typically older, and you may have an older 401k right now that you have not put into a traditional IRA. I would encourage you to really sit down with someone like myself and maybe consider that, because when you have a 401k and it's pretty much just at your old employer and stagnant, it's being very passively managed.
Now, when they work with people, you do complimentary consultations.
Absolutely.
Their phone number to call is 602-325-8447. The website is reliant-gh.com. I want to talk about this. This is an important question. I don't think I've ever asked it to anybody that's ever been on this show before. What do you believe is a good retirement figure? Meaning, how much should they have in their retirement assets to, feel like they can be comfortable? And I got to ask you this too. I know this is a question. How can anyone feel comfortable today, especially with the way things are going?
Well, what is our biggest fear in retirement?
Not having enough money.
Not having enough money. So there isn't, in my opinion, a figure for everybody. There isn't a one-size-fits-all, right? Because I don't know what you would like to accomplish in retirement. What are your dreams and your hopes and your goals? What do you want to enjoy doing? Because when we retire, we want to do the things that we dreamt of doing while we were working, right? Like, I want to be on the golf course every day, or I want to go see the grandkids, or whatever it is that you aspire to do. That's going to all factor into, okay, I need enjoyment money, and I need money for my existing bills, whatever those may be. And as we get more mature, then some of those bills may have condensed down. So you really have to sit down and figure out exactly what it is on an individual basis that's going to allow you to be comfortable. And what I mean by being comfortable, it's not necessarily the amount of assets you have. It's how much income you have in retirement. Because that's key for retirement. There's only one way that you can truly assure yourself from never running out of money, right? Is that you have enough guaranteed sources of income to meet your needs comfortably for the rest of your life.
Now, he does do complimentary consultations. They're located right here in Phoenix. The phone number to call is 602-325-8447. The website is reliant-gh.com. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk further. Folks, this is something that's so important. And you might not realize it, but having that consultation, you might already be on your way to being able to retire, but you don't know until you talk to them. Their phone number again is 602-325-8447. Hang tight. We'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so that was the first part. Now we're going to go to a break. We are live in this room, so we're going to kind of keep on going because we're live on Facebook and stuff like that. I hope you like what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think today, more than, even though you might even have these guaranteed income, it seems to not sort of be enough for people still.
Okay.
Correct?
Correct,
I
yes.
mean, a lot of people are very unsure.
That's right.
Unsure, especially right now.
Yeah, absolutely. With this
Election.
economic activity that we've got going on, right? There's a lot going on. Wars,
Right.
election, there's a lot going on.
Right.
Inverted yield curve. Yeah.
But life still has to keep on going on,
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so when you talk to people, let's say somebody's listening to you and they're thinking, well, I've already worked this out, but you sound to them like, wow, he kind of makes some sense there. Do you ever do second opinions or things like that?
Well, I think that we all have somebody, right? We all have an advisor, we all have a doctor, we all have somebody that is there for us.
Sometimes it's themselves, though.
That's true too, very true. But yes, I think a second opinion is always warranted. You should always have a second opinion on in anything that you choose to do, whether it's to, I don't know, you want to do an extension on your home,
right?
A doctor's opinion, a financial advisor, whatever it is, you should get a second opinion.
I agree with that, because a lot of people out there, that one thing that they do, and I think that older folks especially, oh, I'm okay, and then they don't realize that they're not okay.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
especially
right.
if you haven't heard from your financial advisor for a while.
That's right. That's true. Yeah.
That can be a scary thought, and it does happen. I happen to know
does.
that. You're not looking at me, so. You ready? Oh, 1 minute. Okay, just have a little bit of time. We're pretty much on time here. We're doing pretty good.
Pretty good? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to ask you some of these out of order, okay?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
Make sure you get right up on the mic.
Okay.
So welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Michael Rojas, who is the managing member of Reliant Group Holdings, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what makes you, different, your firm different from some of the other firms or financial advisors out there.
Well, that's a great question, Carol, because if you think about it, we all have somebody, right? We're all working with somebody maybe on the financial side, or we have our own physicians or whatever it is. What makes us different, we truly feel is that when you come into our offices, you'll see that we're a very family-oriented environment. We have those relationships that we really connect with our clients, and that I would say a lot of the times those clients become friends of ours, and they invite us to their events. They enjoy having us because we've built those relationships that we feel like we're part of their family, and they feel like they're part of our family. So that's what I would say the main thing that jumps out is that the relationship building that we do there, the fact that we were fiduciaries, that's more on the financial side of things, meaning we are, licensed fiduciaries that have your best interests at heart. We are there to do what you're trying to accomplish, and we take everything in terms of your opinions, your goals, your desires, and we formulate ideas, thoughts, recommendations based on what you'd like to accomplish.
And, the other thing that I had asked you during the break was, because a lot of people, especially us older folks, will say, oh, we're okay. And maybe you'd like to stick with a person that you've always had, but sometimes it's a really good idea to have a second opinion.
Well, I think a second opinion in just about anything in life is important. If you're looking to build an extension on your home, and you probably want to get a second contractor coming out to give you an estimate, right? Or if you unfortunately may come down with some type of ailment, get a second opinion on that ailment. Same thing with your financial advisor. If you have an advisor that you appreciate and enjoy, it doesn't hurt to come out and have someone like myself just take a look at things to ensure that things are going the way that you'd like for them to. Ask yourself, when was the last time that you sat down and had a risk profile done? a risk profile should be done every 2 to 3 years. Meaning, if you're 40 years old, you may be willing to accept more risk than you are now when you're 65. And if you haven't adjusted your profile, or if you haven't adjusted your tolerance within your portfolio, then I think that you're cutting yourself short, or your advisor maybe not doing the things that he should be doing.
Oh, I know this for a fact because I know someone this happened to. And, because we all think everything's okay, it's being managed. But if they're not on top of things themselves, you can get yourself where you lose a lot, right?
Absolutely. So if you really think about it, as we mentioned before, one of our biggest fears in retirement is not having enough or running out, right? And today, there's a lot of uncertainty, we'll just say right now, right, Carol? Would you agree with me on that?
Oh my God, yes.
We've got wars that we're directly or indirectly involved with, depending on how you look at it. We've got an election year. We've got an inverted yield curve cycle. There's a lot of things happening today that I have termed it as kind of like the perfect storm. Because think about this. Our stock markets are higher than they've ever been in history on any given week in the recent past, right? So with all of this action going on in our economy, with everything that I just described a minute ago, there's going to be something that's going to transpire that's, in my opinion, going to cause a negative swing in our economy and our markets. Mm-hmm. It's in my opinion inevitable.
Right.
Just to kind of go back a little bit, inverted yield curve, if you're not familiar with an inverted yield curve, Carol, it just simply means when you have short-term interest rates, a CD at the bank, right? That's a short-term interest rate. Mm-hmm. And the CD at the bank is paying more interest than a long-term bond. And right now that's what's transpired. And that's been the case for about a couple of years now, getting close to a couple of years. That's inverted. It's not supposed to be that way. And so with that environment, anytime we've seen that, going back since 1955, wow. We've seen that transpire, an inverted yield curve, and it's followed by a recession.
Well, unfortunately, and we're not here to scare anyone, but you know what? We know the reality of life.
Reality.
It is what it is.
Yes.
Main thing is that you, first of all, number one, have a consultation. It is a complimentary one to sit down, maybe even have that second opinion. If you're not sure really about all of these things, you should be. You should be on top of it. I want to talk about people who, even us women, a lot of women tend to not get involved so much. Get involved. Be involved. It's really important.
It's incredibly important. Oftentimes you will see where a married couple and the husband is usually the one making those decisions. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes I even hear, oh honey, you go ahead and make that decision, or take care of it. You've done well. Well, no, I think both partners need to be equally involved because, at some point,
right,
something's going to transpire when it's only one of us.
And then you're almost stuck, and that's not a good position to be in. I do also want to talk a little bit about some of these other things. I want to ask you if somebody should really consider a Roth conversion right now.
That's been a big topic in the last several years, and the reason why is because we all know that we have some of the lowest income tax brackets in history right now, right? So with our deficit, more than likely, I would say very likely, that the federal government will start raising those income tax brackets. So if you're capable of doing a Roth conversion, I think absolutely you should consider it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, Carol, that you should just convert your entire traditional IRA to a Roth all at once. I'm not in favor of that. I'm in favor of breaking down and taking a look, how much income do you have in the current tax bracket that you're in, and is there any difference from breaking over into the next higher tax bracket, right? So if we can say, have $50,000 of where we can convert that $50,000 and not put you into a higher tax bracket, then let's do that portion, and then the following year, so what we have to do, and do that portion, and kind of ladder it out.
Yeah, but take baby steps.
Exactly.
Okay, mm-hmm. And I agree too. I mean, I think a lot of people would say that they would agree with that too, because you don't want to do anything where you're putting all your eggs into one basket, I don't think.
Well, so what's wonderful about Roth accounts is that they're tax-free.
Okay.
As long as you abide by the IRS rules on that, after having that account in place for at least 5 years and have met the minimum age requirement, then it's tax-free money. So let's just say that you are in the highest tax bracket already. You're a high wage earner, right? And you're at the highest tax bracket. If you did that Roth conversion all at once, it doesn't put you into a higher tax bracket, and knowing moving forward that's going to be tax-free money for the rest of your life, maybe it does make sense in that scenario.
Have the conversation, have that complimentary consultation. They're located right here in Phoenix. You can also do a second opinion for anybody that wants to talk to him. He's been in this for 27 years, and he's basically we said it that he's from here, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I am from here since 1979.
Time.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that you talked about, and I think this is very important for people to hear, the risk profile that you do, that should almost happen every 2 to 3 years. If you haven't, it is time. It is make sure that you take care of some of these things, especially even if you've been with the same financial advisor for a long time. I think it's a good idea to take a look at some of the things that other people are saying, right?
That's correct.
And again, their phone number is 602-325-8447. It's Reliant-GH.com. Real quickly, so that with the annuities can sometimes be used for retirement planning. How do you feel about these? I'm going to tell you something. I know a lot of people, they have a lot of funny feelings when it comes to annuities, but what's your thoughts?
So, first of all, let me just say, not all annuities are equal, right? There's, just like anything else, there's a whole bunch of different types of these instruments out there. I'm not going to say that I denounce them, nor that am I going to say that I'm an advocate for them. What I mean by that is, they should fill a need. If you would want an annuity, I should say, if you're looking to have an annuity, then it should fill a need. If your advisor is recommending it, there should be a need. Meaning, in my opinion, it should be for either securing your principal for principal protection, because I believe that annuities are very good instruments for preserving your initial principal, and if you're looking to fill an income gap need, then they're useful for that purpose. But again, other than those two reasons, that's the only time that I would ever want to see someone have an annuity, and that is to fill a very specific need.
I also think I love what you said is for people just to consider some of these things, right?
That's right.
And when you hear these things, maybe it's you, maybe it's someone that you know, important to tell them about what you hear. And everybody's got a different story, and I think that's really what it starts with. It's what is your story, what are you looking to do, and what do we need to do to help you, number one, not pay as much taxes. What are your final words?
Well, I just think that, everybody out there who's listening, if you want to give us a call just to get that second opinion, we would love to have you in our offices so that you can see the environment that I'm describing, our family-oriented environment. Love to have you in.
That number to call is 602-325-8447. It's Reliant-GH.com.